How have you been?
I'm not good. I haven't been good. The truth is, for a while now, I feel like I've been stuck in a dark place.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning back in here to the Warrior Metaphysic. Today, in this one, we're going to talk about suffering. And we all know that there's a lot of things that can cause suffering, and a lot of us don't know how to get out of it when we're going through it. But one thing I wanted to say before we get into it is, suffering can be explained and understood in a lot of different ways, right? And I think there's something in here for everybody when it comes to how we understand messages that we receive from other people when it comes to them telling their stories. Some of it is more cerebral, and it can sound very, scientific, very, I don't want to use the word calculated, but some of it is very heartfelt and very emotional. And my hope is that it'll touch whoever it needs to touch on various levels, wherever the level is that you are. So I hope that helps. Let's get into it.
All the times I've tried to rationalize my suffering, tried to rationalize my physical suffering, tried to rationalize my internal suffering, like being unheard, overlooked, being neglected, being rejected, tried to rationalize and make sense of the systemic suffering that I'm facing as a Black man in America. A big part of decolonization and deconstruction for me was letting go of this idea of connecting my suffering to some greater meaning or purpose. And glamorizing and idealizing your suffering might be religious trauma. You want to talk about religious trauma? I used to stub my toe and think, oh, I shouldn't have been thinking that thought. Like I used to try to make sense of why I was going through suffering as minute as stubbing my toe and tripping over something or dropping something that I really wanted to have. Like God was abusing me or spanking me or something, and I was okay with that. It's okay to let go. Like everything doesn't have to be spiritualized. The reality is what it is, and we can grieve that reality. We can do what we need to do to process that. But one thing we shouldn't do is try to make sense of it through some sort of life lesson or God is trying to teach you something. And we shouldn't be trying to connect it to some sin in our life or whatever. Do the work that you need to do to heal, figure out what you can, control what you can control, reach out for help, and do what you can to make it through the best that you can. But you're not being punished. You're not being taught a lesson. You're not being spanked. You're not being whooped by God. You're just going through right now. My heart goes out to those who are going through something right now, lifting you up. I'm thinking about y'all daily because I get that it's challenging to navigate suffering without that framework, right? But it's time to unpack why we have to connect our suffering to our spirituality. It's time for us to unpack why we think that God or the spirit of the universe can only teach us lessons through our suffering. That is the work. Love, light, and liberation to you all. And as always, like and follow for more content.
When you're on a certain path, there's a reason why you go through so much pain. There's a reason why you go through so much struggle, because you are built to go through these things for a reason. You feel what I'm saying? We be so quick to be like, dang, why God do this to me? Or why is my life this way? Or whatever the case may be. You feel what I'm saying? But you always go through those situations and then you get out and you can talk about them. Whether you helping somebody else or whether you just sharing your perspective on that specific situation, but you went through it and you made it out. So the more you go through different situations, you kind of be, you know what I'm saying? You be equipped for each situation, right? Basically, right? Imagine this. Imagine I didn't go through nothing. Imagine if I didn't become homeless. How would I be able to help other people that's going through the same thing as me? How would I be able to help Black sheeps? How would I be able to help people that come from dysfunctional families if I've never really been through nothing? How I'm going to tell you you should be hungry if I ain't never starve? So I'm not sitting here saying that every situation that you go through is called for, necessary, or even fair. All I'm saying is look at the specific things that you go through and try to take the lesson from it. Realize that everybody who has greatness within them has been through something. Because we all go through something, but it's about how we respond to it. So how you respond, in a sense, is you writing your story. And everybody has a story, but are you writing yours? Yo, that was a bar. That was a bar. Go on. I'm cooking right.
Bar indeed. And that's facts though. Like when you go through something, when you come out of suffering, you are equipped with a whole new set of tools. You are equipped with a whole new level of value because you can help other people through similar struggles. Maybe you can say something that's going to touch another person and pull them back from the edge. Like, you're not going to see this stuff when you're going through it. You're not going to see it when you're in pain. But when you get to the other side, and you know that saying hindsight is 2020, you'll be able to help other people just by simply telling your story. So that's one of the values I see in suffering. This is not me saying, oh, suffering is wonderful, suffering is great. Nah, that's bullshit. But there is a silver lining, and there are blessings and nuggets that can be helpful to other people around you when you go through something like that.
Yeah, I'm cooking right now.
If you are suffering right now or going through any sort of adversity, just know this is a sign from God that God wants you to win. Why? Because it's in moments of suffering, it provides an opportunity for you to triumph over it. God wants to see your potential, but the only way to see your potential is if you not be influenced or knocked down by moments of adversity. What you have to do is transcend them. And how you do that is by remembering who you are in your mind, picking your desired reality and believing fully in that and not whatever the external world or 3D is giving you. You have to transcend above it. For example, if you're going through financial burdens, if you're going through loss in terms of a relationship, if you are feeling insecure, these are moments and times where you can utilize your potential and say, this is not who I am. These moments of adversity do not define me. I am better. I am abundant. I am secure in myself. I am confident in myself. The moment that you can do that is the moment you realize your potential, because then you realize that these moments of adversity are just almost like dumbbells in the gym. They're there to help you grow. It's not there to hinder you, right? So if you can keep repetitively doing that over and over again, you become fully powerful. And you know that no matter what, you can handle anything. That's the whole point. That's what God is trying to tell you. So when he keeps handling or giving you suffering, or don't say, why me? Say, thank you. Because now I can practice who I really am. That's the whole point. And that's how your desired self would act. He wouldn't be scared of adversity. He would use it as an opportunity to practice his true potential. So don't let it scare you. Triumph over it.
It is not your fault when people come into your life, make you believe that they want to be a part of your life, choose to be a part of your life, and then randomly decide to walk out of your life. You didn't do anything to deserve that. Stuff like that is why a lot of us suffer from abandonment issues. That's not your fault. You did not do anything to deserve that. And it is not worth it to rack your brain going crazy over people who decide to do that to other people. I know that this doesn't necessarily help heal the wounds, and it doesn't change the fact that it hurts, and you are allowed to be upset about it, you're allowed to be sad about it, you're allowed to be angry about it, you're allowed to be mad about it, but don't you dare go back to that. No chances. No, when somebody does that to you, no chances. No more, no. Just no. And your ass is fat. Never forget that. Because yes, I will be reminding you how fat your ass is every video. What about it? What are you going to do about it? You going to sit on my face? You going to sit on my face? I'm waiting. Wait, hold on. Let me back up a little bit so I look sexy. You going to sit on my face?
I have a fresh perspective for you, and
Wow. One of the nuggets in that, though, is like abandonment can really trigger suffering and lifelong suffering. And it's not always from childhood. Of course, we can do spiritual work and it brings up abandonment issues that we may have forgotten. But when someone walks out of your life, whether it's a friend, whether it's a loved one, like someone that you thought was going to be in your life for longer than they were supposed to be, that abandonment triggers a lot of suffering. So if you're feeling that right now, I really hope you embrace his message and get to a space where you can start to kind of release that. It's not your fault.
it's gonna rock your world. Suffering is a direct result of being attached to a plane of reality in which the thing that we are suffering from is still in existence. Yep, run that back. Suffering Suffering is a direct result of being attached to a plane of reality in which the thing that you are suffering from is still going on, is still existing. That version of you on that version of Earth is still experiencing that hurt. And that's why this version of you stays suffering in this cell, because your mental body is not in your physical one. You are not in the present moment. Your mental body is in a different plane, on a different timeline, in a different reality, okay? You know what the best part of knowing this is now? To start helping yourself. Go and fetch this mental aspect of you back from wherever in the ether it is, and start being present, start being in your body. When you are in the present, the suffering starts to become silence, and in silence, there's peace, and in peace, there's happiness. Love you.
Shout out to Rising with Rachel for that one. And that's one of the insidious things about suffering. Like if it's an event that happens, we recall that event over and over again when we're going through it because we're trying to understand it. We look at it from different angles. It's something can happen around us in our environment and it triggers that the whole thing. It reminds you of it and we relive it again. And we're living over and over again in that suffering. And it just causes the whole cycle over and over again. But the quicker that we can analyze the situation, detach from it, understand it, most importantly, learn the lessons that we're supposed to get from whatever that experience was, the quicker we can end the suffering. But we have to be mindful of stopping the practice of replaying it over and over again. That's going to be necessary at the beginning. Not only is going to be necessary, it's going to be automatic. It's going to be beyond you in the beginning, unless you're in denial. But I'm talking about being from a space of being willing to fully look at a situation and all its ugly and all its pain and all its stank and face it and try to understand it and dissect it and get through it. That's how you naturally start to grow through the process where you won't be reliving the same situation over again. And also, you get to a place where if it does come up, if you've really done the work, and we're not going to do that here, of course, these are TikTok reactions. We can go deeper into that later. But if you've really done the work, when you do recall the situation, it won't impact you the same. When you think about whatever the cause of the suffering was, it just won't have that same impact. And that's when you know you've grown. That's when you know you've healed to some level. But I won't keep holding you. Let's go to the next one.
Come silence, and in silence, there's peace, and in peace, there's happiness. Love you.
If you're dealing with persistent negative thought, this video is meant to find you. Look, if you find yourself often trapped in thought loops and you're suffering because of that, watch this video all the way through the end, because I've been there and I've discovered a technique that really helped me to move through that. First things first, what we do want to understand is that we are not our thoughts and we are not our emotions. Thoughts and emotions, they come and go. You are the one who listens to the thought, the awareness that gives life to any thought or emotion. So you can see thoughts as clouds on the sky, whilst you are the sky. You remain untouched from the clouds. Sometimes there may be really bad weather and a bunch of clouds there. But what you can do as an amazing exercise is just remain observant. Don't listen to the story that the thoughts may want to tell you. Don't believe into them, but just observe them. Label them. Put a little label on them in your own mind. This is a thought. This is a thought. This will help you to train your awareness. Most of the times, these negative thoughts, they arise in order to make us feel a particular emotion. In our collective consciousness at large, we are trained to suppress heavy and dense negative emotions like fear or anxiety or guilt. So these thoughts can even be little helpers that help you to get rid of that energetical baggage that you're carrying around with you when you're not feeling these heavier emotions, but rather suppressing them within your system. The thing is though, the moment you start to incubate these thoughts with your awareness, you give a lot of power to them because your awareness gives life to whatever it observes. So the next time you find yourself stuck in negative thought loops, see this as an invitation of the universe in order to evolve spiritually. Observe the thoughts, don't identify with them. Feel the feelings that want to be felt behind those thoughts, But also don't identify with these emotions. Don't act out of these emotions. If you feel fear, it's okay to feel it. Spot it in your body. But don't act out of that anxiety. The mind will always tell you a story to every emotion. There will always be a thought, oh, you're feeling this way because of this or that. The reality is you're just feeling. There's no objective reason for your feeling, even though your mind may tell you different. So make use of times of mental turbulence in order to evolve your awareness. This will be an absolute game changer. Remember, you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, you're the one who observes it.
And shout out to Wife Goals 818 for that one. I wanted to include it because I just wanted to ask you all, like, have you ever felt like that? And if so, how many times have you ever felt like that? Where you just don't know the words, you can't say it, you just need somebody to sit with you. And we live in an age now where everyone's on the internet. We're all looking at YouTube, we're all looking at TikTok, we're all looking at Facebook or whatever. And we rarely have connection with actual people. And this is the way we connect now. So what she did in that video, that sheer honesty, was very valid. And I wanted to take a moment to observe that. I wanted to take a moment to appreciate that. So if that makes sense to you on some level, I'm asking you to do me this one favor. If you've watched the video this far, just drop me a like to say that you felt that, like you get that you've been there, that sometimes you just needed someone to sit with you. And you know, this video was posted some time ago, but we don't live in, there's no such thing as time. And because of that, I feel like the healing thoughts that we can send her way watching this right now will help her on her journey wherever she is today, and it'll help you on your journey wherever you are right now. So just drop a like if that was felt, if you really felt that. Let's go.
This point is the doorway to your highest self. For when the heart breaks, something far deeper is taking place than mere misfortune. We often don't realize the value of the darkness until it has passed, for only in the absence of light that we learn to become the light. The human mind seeks comfort, but the soul stirs for change. It longs to grow, not to stay the same. As I've said before, the meaning of life is just to be alive. And yet we resist the very currents that are pulling us into deeper awareness of that aliveness. You're not here to chase happiness like a dog chasing its tail. Happiness is a byproduct of becoming whole. And wholeness requires contrast. Dark and light, sorrow and joy, breaking and rebuilding. So when it hurts, let it hurt. Don't run. Sit with it. Listen to it. And when you finally rise from it, you'll realize the joy was never in the outcome, but in the transformation. Feed the soul, not the ego. Choose evolution over escape. And the light you're searching for will no longer be something you find. It will be something you are.
How have you been?
I'm not good. I haven't been good. The truth is, for a while now, I feel like I've been stuck in a dark place. I can't remember feeling happy. No one really hears me, you know?
closing in.
That's something I always say to people, and I have to remind myself, like, you never know what someone's going through. So when we're out in these streets, when we're out in the world, when we're living our day to day, I'm not saying that you have to give everyone a free pass, like especially if someone's being rude or whatever, but just know that you never know what someone's going through. Whether we're smiling on the outside, just have more compassion. I think that's all I'm trying to say here. Just be mindful of your own compassion. And I'm not saying that to be preachy. I'm saying it as a reminder to myself too, because I have to remind myself of that as well. When I get in my moments when I'm feeling impatient or rush, or I'm going through my own stuff so I can't see somebody else's stuff. But know that we're all going through it. And I'm not going to even get into all the stuff that's going on the planet right now that makes that message even more important. But you just never know what somebody's going through. So just be mindful of that.
The shift to overcome stress, anxiety, fear, the psychological suffering that is in our lives. There is a deeper truth to not only the story that you tell yourself, but the story that you are writing as well. Let me explain. If this is your first time, my name is Delbert, and I'm a code breaker, meaning I help dreamers like yourself break the limitations of the mind so that you can live the life you deserve. If you're vibing with that, be sure to follow for more, but let's get it. Conscious living does not identify with the mind. Conscious living decides when we use the mind as a tool. The state of being has no story, has no label. It is just presence. And energy is neutral until the human gives it a charge, until it gives it meaning. To have something means that there is no possible way that you could be of it. So if I tell you that you have a mind, who's the one that has it? That's the you I'm talking about. We tell ourselves these stories, these narratives from the second we wake up till the time that we drift off to sleep. And depending on what story that you're believing in, it's creating that pain, that stress, that anxiety, that fear. But these are merely just projections of the mind, the self, the identity that you are identifying with. Eckhart explains it as people who solely live horizontally in the constraints of time and space, past and future, believing their thoughts and emotions and the stories that they tell themselves are who they are at their core. Living solely based off the form, the body, physically and psychologically. What people don't understand, and what Eckhart was explaining, is that there is a vertical way of living that transcends time and space and connects you to the present moment. And this is where the love, the joy, the peace, the happiness actually resides, that true energy source. Well, what does that do for me, Delbert? Well, what it does for you is that it allows you to not identify with the story, but to utilize the story. You get to utilize the identity. You get to utilize your actions to create, but you don't become lost or separated from your true essence of being. Step into your body and observe. No opinions, no labels, no expectations, and this will allow you to see truth. Because now whenever you're interacting with someone, you're not interacting with that narrative being told, you're interacting with the presence behind it. Now when you see challenges, you're not seeing them as issues, you're seeing them as growth. Now, whenever you experience negative emotions, they're not who you are, they're just old narratives that you haven't let go of yet. I'm a co-creator. I understand taking action, finding meaning, creating the life you desire. But everything starts with being, the foundation of presence, becoming the fullness of who you are behind the story. This takes practice, and every experience you have is now an opportunity for you to find yourself in it and allow the fullness of who you are to shine through the story. If you're digging the vibe, be sure to follow for more. Go be great.
What's going on? God bless you. I'm hoping that you're having a good day. You already know who it is. You're the blessed one. So I kind of want to touch on this subject today. I have a little small message that I want to put out there because I feel like a lot of us have experienced this emotion, if not this situation, before in our lives. Or maybe you are experiencing this right now and you don't know where you're at in life or what direction you should head and all that stuff, right? So I'm going to speak about suffering. So I'm going to explain to you why suffering is a good thing. And I know I sound crazy. Before you get at me, just kind of listen to me, all right? Hear me out. I'm going to explain to you. So suffering, right? It could bring many things. And I'm going to tell you the things that are good. about it, right? So with suffering comes change, strength, and humbleness. And I'm gonna say why. See, suffering brings strength because through all that pain that you go through, you've somehow managed to still push through because you know that you can't give up in your life because you have too much to lose. So you have no other choice but to suck up all the pain, to suck up all the emotion and move forward, right? It brings humbleness because a lot of times our sufferings are for our own faults, right? From our own decisions, our own mistakes, and for trusting people that we shouldn't trust. So we tend to go through suffering because of our actions, right? That's what humbles us. The fact that you acknowledge that you made a mistake and you have to change the way you do things and think. That's where humbleness comes from, right? And power. Why does suffering bring power? It brings power because it builds your character. It builds your heart, it builds your spirit, it builds your confidence, it builds everything. Because through suffering, through pain, is how we all learn to cope with certain things in our lives, right? And I'm gonna ask you something, right? Ask yourself this. How many things in your life did you suffer for? Or did you go through? And you thought you were never gonna get out that situation. You thought you were never gonna get out of that relationship or forget that person or, you know, get over the fact that you lost a family member or a close person to you. Think about it for a second. And you're still here today. You're still moving on. You're still strong, firm, right? That's my example. Even though things could be rough, even though that you might be suffering and going through something very hard, if you already got through it once, you can get through it again. So always remember to push forward no matter how hard things get, no matter how many things come your way. Remember that through all that pain, through all that suffering, there's greatness, there's growth, there's improvement, humbleness, power. So you should be happy that you're suffering because through the suffering is how you're going to grow. Through the suffering is how you're going to go to the next level. So give the glory to God because that's how God glorifies himself in your life too, through suffering. So with that being said, that's a small message for y'all. Like I said, I'm gonna keep it short. I hope you guys have a good day. I hope that you continue to push forward, stay strong. You got this, don't give up, and give the glory to God always. And you already know, enjoy the blessed one. Peace. Love y'all.
The real source of your suffering, listen to me now, is the focus on self. You only suffer when you focus on yourself. No, I'm suffering because my children are not doing well in school and I know it's going to cost them their future. No. If it was just your children not doing well in school, you would focus on how to help them. The stress is you think you failed them. It's about you. The way out of suffering is appreciation and no longer focus on yourself. When you focus on contributing to others, your suffering will disappear. The moment you're grateful for anything in your life, your suffering disappears. That fact.
Yes, and we all know that was Mr. Tony Robbins for that nugget. And that's the end of this, everybody. I hope you find it helpful. I hope some of these messages resonated with you. Like I said, people receive information different ways. Some of it's more cerebral, intellectual. Some of it is more heartfelt and empathetic. And so when I look at these messages and I choose videos, I try to find ones that are going to speak to different people who receive information in different ways, because I can look at it both ways, and that's because I've been doing spiritual work for a long time. So I can understand when something sounds like really scientific, really sanitized, and we use all these big words or whatever, but we're really trying to say this. Sometimes that message is only going to get through to people who think similarly. And then some people, we use more emotional, more feeling words and conveying the same message. So I try to include those as well. But shout out to those creators. Like I always say, go and check them out on TikTok. And I hope these messages resonated with you on some way. And one thing I try to do in these videos is we might kind of start out in what the problem is, what the issue is, what is the state of things. Then we get into a little bit more of the stories about people's experiences going through that thing, whatever the spiritual subject is that we're covering for that episode. But I like to try to end it with solutions, tools, resources, something positive, something uplifting to get you through it. So I hope this is coming across in these videos. I'm gonna work on doing better at structuring these videos or placing these videos so that comes across a little bit more. But that's it. Again, thank you for watching. If this resonated with you on any level, please drop a like. I try to do as little editing as possible because I want to be as real and authentic as possible. For everyone who's subscribing, I appreciate it. For everyone who's dropping likes, I appreciate it. And here's to your suffering. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.